Hello everybody and welcome back to my booktube channel. Today I am going to be doing a fun fall tag for you guys. I thought that sounded fun this week. I love a good tag. I hope you guys love a good tag too. So we're gonna get into it. So for the first question, it is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. So I actually have two books for this prompt. I feel like both of these books have very vivid settings. They're both set in like a boarding school up in the mountains, very secluded from society kind of thing. Oh, I really just felt like I was there. I could picture all of the beautiful buildings, Gothic architecture, that kind of thing, and I just loved reading both of these. So the first book is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. As I said, this one takes place in a boarding school up in the middle of like absolutely nowhere. Just the way that this building is structured and the way Maureen Johnson describes it, I really felt like I could visualize every scene that Stevie was in, what was going on, where it was happening on the grounds, and that was just so good. I just love boarding school settings, so that also segues me into my next book that I'm going to be using for this prompt, which is The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane by Julian Noble. I actually recently read this one and it was so good. This also takes place at a boarding school in, I think this one takes place in England, yes. It's in the middle of nowhere. The buildings are beautiful. I mean, you can even just tell from the cover of this book. The way that setting was described, again, I just really felt like everywhere our main character Emmy was, I had a good like mental image, and I just really felt sucked into the story with both of these. So A+ for setting. Question number 2. Nature is beautiful, but also dying. That's very morbid. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. Okay, so for this one, I had the perfect book. I actually also read this one very recently, and that is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. Literally the tagline of this book is "Death is their only beginning." So this one does heavily deal with topics of grief and loss and afterlife. There's ghosts, there's like ferrymen taking people to the afterlife kind of thing. It's a whole thing. There's reapers, very much death. I do feel like this book could have had more in-depth talks about grief and loss, but I still really enjoyed it, and I thought the story was fantastically written. There's like a love story going on in here too, with a man who dies and the man who takes people into the afterlife. It's cute, trust me. I actually really did not like this book when I first started it, but as I continued reading, once I hit like the halfway point, I really started loving it. So yes, if you start this book and you're skeptical, just push through. I really enjoyed it. Number 3. Fall is back to school season. What? Unfortunately, I'm aware. Sure, a non-fiction book that taught you something new. So the book I'm going to be using for this, I actually have not finished yet. So like, do I have the authority to be using this book? Maybe not, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and that is The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. This book is supposed to be tackling the origins of Halloween, why things are associated with Halloween, and like ancient Halloween-ish practices that like led to what we know today. I don't know if it's gonna deliver on any of those points, and yes, I do know that this is not nonfiction, but it's the closest that I have for this prompt. So The Halloween Tree, I don't have anything else to say about it. On to number 4. In order to keep warm, it's good to spend time with the people we love. Name a fictional family, household, or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. So as I was coming up with the books that I wanted to use for each of these prompts, I was like, you know what series I have not harped on enough recently that I used to harp on a lot? It's the Shadowhunter series. So I, for this prompt, am going to be using Chain of Gold because this is my favorite cast of characters out of any Cassie Clare series. Like, I would love to be a part of this friend group. I know they got a lot of drama going on. I know it's like a tumultuous time for all of them, but I would still love to be a part of it. I would love to take part of the London Edwardian fashion trends. It honestly sounds like everything. Like, do I think I could survive in like 1903? No, I would absolutely like not. Just for the vibes, I would like to just like spend a couple of days with them, you know? I really just thought this book was perfect for this prompt too, so Chain of Gold, my friends. Number 5, the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall colored spines. I have yet to pick these out yet. So I need to do that now. Here are my fall colored book spines, that's the word. Okay. Boom. What a lovely color palette. What do we have here? We have Vicious. I will quickly go through these. We Have Always Lived in the Castle. Fahrenheit 451. A Gathering of Shadows. Look, got the red. Clockwork Angel. The Iliad and the Odyssey bind up. Heartstopper Volume 4. It doesn't really look like it on the cover, but bam. It's this lovely orange color. And Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows for a nice thick chunk of orange there. So, okay, moving swiftly along to number 6. Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. I'm also altering this prompt because I stewed over this question for a good like 3 days while I was planning what I wanted to use for this video, and I came up with nothing. I'm changing this question to a story that retells a story, like a retelling. For that one, I'm going to be using The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. This one is a retelling of The Jungle Book, which I did not realize until I was like 3 pages away from the end, which makes me feel still, I think I said this before, but it still makes me feel kind of dumb, but it's kind of funny. I also really think that speaks to how good the retelling is because it can really stand on its own, but I do think it follows The Jungle Book really closely. After I read that this was a retelling of The Jungle Book, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, but like as I was reading it, did not pick that up. This story follows Bod Owens, who, like Mowgli in The Jungle Book, ends up being raised in a less than normal situation. He's raised by these ghosts in a graveyard. It follows him in his journey of growing up and eventually having to leave the graveyard. Honestly, kind of made me cry, so it's a good book. Moving on to 7. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. Oh, I also forgot to pick one out for this. See, this is where planning would have come in handy. Oh, I don't want to choose something basic, but it probably will. So for my dark, creepy read, I feel like I don't read too much horror, to be honest, even though I really like Stephen King. We're gonna go with It, because I think this, Stephen King books don't really scare me. Like, I don't find myself really that scared when I ever like read any of his books, but it kind of got me just a little bit. Like, there were a couple nights where I was like, it's looking pretty dark in that hallway. Don't know if I want to like walk down there alone. Kind of just like a creepy feeling. Like I'm sitting on a chair and my legs are dangling off the edge and I like want to pull them up because I feel like something is about to grab my ankle. You know, like once you pull your legs up, you'll be fine. But like while they're just, okay, this is a really this is not working, but I think you know what I mean. It is a commitment, not gonna lie, and he rambles a lot in this book. But I personally really enjoy his ramblings. I think it's interesting to see how he jumps from one topic to the next. But if you want a fast-moving plot, don't know if I'd go with this one. But I still think this book is very creepy. It's very versatile in the monsters that it offers, I guess. So that's what we're going with for this question. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. I actually have a couple of these. The blog post that I'm like getting these questions from used a graphic novel. A graphic novel is perfect, so I'm just gonna like recommend a couple of graphic novels that I have sitting around here. Everyone knows about this book, but first we're gonna go with Heartstopper just because it's sitting right here, and I'm like, yeah, that is a heartwarming read. All of these graphic novels that are out, there's 4 of them right now, are so good. I've given all of them 5 stars. Definitely will brighten up your day if you need that. But I've talked about this a lot, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much. Next up we have The Sad Ghost Club by Liz Meddings. I finished this graphic novel a couple of days ago. It was a really quick read, and I just really needed this, to be honest. It follows, I don't even remember what this ghost's name is, to be honest. He's having a rough time. He's really stressed out all the time. He wants to like go to this party, but he's anxious about it, and honestly I very much related. So yeah, he eventually meets another ghost at this party who also is like going through some stuff, and they start the Sad Ghost Club at the end of it. And I know there's more graphic novels in this series, so I should pick this up soon, but this was just a really nice read, a gentle reminder to not stress yourself out too much. And then the last one I finished last night, which is Seance Tea Party by Ramina Yi. This graphic novel is so good. It's about not wanting to grow up and learning to deal with it. I do believe this is like a middle grade graphic novel, I think. It was just so nice. The art style in it is absolutely beautiful. Like, this is the main reason I picked it up, because I love Oh, the art style. I'm just gonna keep flipping through it because it's beautiful. Yeah, it was just a really nice light read. It takes place around like Halloween for a little bit of it too, so it's not spooky, but like got the fall vibe. This is really good. Would very much recommend it if you want a nice light graphic novel. And then aside from those couple of graphic novels, I also have one more recommendation, and that is going to be the Rover Random by J.R.R. Tolkien. This book is like 100 or so pages. It's a really quick read and I loved it so much. It's about this dog who gets turned into a little toy dog because he bites this wizard on the butt at one point, and he just goes on these adventures. He goes to the moon, he goes to the sea. It's just kind of heartwarming and it's just so cute. Like, if you haven't read Tolkien, I think this is a really good starting point, to be honest. If you don't want to like jump into the Lord of the Rings right away, you kind of get a feel for his style of writing in it, but it's not too much, you know? Number 9, fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. So the book that I'm going to use for this one is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I love the first book in this series. Admittedly, Vengeful was not my favorite. I still enjoyed it and I think I gave it like a 4 stars, but I feel like I should drop this down to like a 3 star or something because I do not think I would ever read this book again because it just paled in comparison to this book so much. But there is going to be a third one coming out in this series. I think it's called Victorious. I mean, it's a long ways off, but I'm still so excited for it. I really want to reread Vicious this fall. This book was so good. I think the reason I want to reread it is because this is the first Victoria Schwab book that I read ever, and I read it last fall, and I just think I associate it with fall now, so I need to like read it for the fall vibes, you know what I'm saying? So there's my old favorite. Okay, so that was the Finally Fall book tag. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, answer one of the questions below and let me know what your answer to it is. I think that'd be kind of fun. Really hope you enjoy. If you did, like, subscribe, whatever you're feeling today, and I will see you in my next video. I hope you're all having a fantastic fall so far, I guess. I don't know. Okay, bye.